Alright, so I cleaned everything, all the surfaces for the gaskets, the housing. I cleaned as much as I could, like quickly wire wheeled it. Anyways, so I just wanted to show you all the parts for now. I'm gonna take them away. The overdrive, this cover we're not gonna need for now. And let's start by assembling the counter shaft, and we're gonna drop it in the housing, and then we're gonna put it away, and we're gonna assemble the main shaft and the rest of the components. So we need this and this, and we need this for the counter shaft. The bearings inside here I haven't taken out. There's a circlip here that you can take out and the bearing is gonna come out, but I haven't taken anything out. It's in a good shape, there's no need. So we're just gonna take a little bit of the assembly glue and we're gonna just lubricate these splines here. Then we have the smallest gear. So the smallest gear is here, and then we assemble them by size. So this is the first gear, which is the smallest one on the counter shaft and the biggest one on the main shaft. So that's first, that's reversed, that's second, and we're gonna assemble it this way. So there's a pocket here, this side is flat, so the pocket goes towards this shoulder here. Come on. Okay. Then we have third gear, which goes with the short boss here towards second. There's no spacers, there's no washers here because they spin as a unit. Then we have this spacer, and then we have the last gear, which is not fourth. This is the driven gear. This is the one that drives the whole counter shaft. And now here we can stick the thrust washer, which goes this way. And this thrust washer we're gonna put after. We're just gonna put assembly glue here. And now we're gonna put the lay gear down. We're gonna try to match this notch here into the housing, and then we're gonna slide this washer on top. So here we're gonna lubricate this surface as well, and this surface. So together with the washer here, we don't forget the washer, we're gonna put everything down like this. Actually, I'm gonna do this. The washer is on my finger. Okay. Or can we do it the other way around? Okay, like this. The washer is on my finger, right? So now everything can go down. Okay, now from this direction I can still see the tooth, so I can match it with the notch on the housing. So now from here I can slide the thrust washer down, again matching the notch like this. I hope you can see that. And we're gonna let everything drop all the way down, and we're gonna leave it alone for now. Oh, another important thing actually is the reverse gear. We don't want to forget that. If we don't put it now, I'm not sure if we can put it later. So how it goes is with the slot towards the first gear and the teeth on this side. I'm just lubricating everything at the same time. So we're gonna slide the shaft. The shaft has a notch here. This notch is for the locking plate on this side. So we have to match the lever, needs to go in the slot and then on the shaft, like this. Okay, and now we can put it away. The shaft can actually stay there for now. And now let's start assembling the main shaft. Remember how we were going from the center out? Let's assemble the short part where the second and third gear go. For the first one we're gonna assemble after that. And the hub we're gonna put later. For now we can put the washer here. Put some lubrication on it as well. Then the bushing we got cleaned. I mean, these channels here, these are oil passages, so I wire wheel them quickly on the bench grinder. Inside I'm not gonna lubricate because we have lubrication here already. So it goes like that. And let's put some lube here just in case. And like that. Some lube here as well. Some goo. Now the bushing, how the bushing goes inside, you see the bushing is not symmetrical. This channel is not centered. And here we have a little hole that is an oil passage, and this is the other end of this hole. And I used to think that this channel needs to match this hole. Apparently they don't match. If you match the channel on the hole, that's how the bushing fits. So it doesn't match, but I still put the offset of the channel towards this hole. So we're gonna put the bushing here. We have lubrication already. And we're gonna lubricate the outside. The lubrication here is not so critical because we're gonna have oil right away. It's not like an oil pump that builds up pressure. And now here we have this washer, right? The dished washer goes like this, and here we have this circlip which we can go and put on the vise. Well, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened to my camera, but it wasn't on. So I pushed the circlip already, but I used this special tool that was donated to me by Dave Conit, who has a YouTube channel as well, Dave's TR4A. So it is basically a taper that you put on top, and then you slide the circlip and push it down. What I used to push it down was an adjustable wrench, which I set to the widest part, and then I just pushed the circlip down. And that was it. Unfortunately, you didn't see it, but it went in relatively easy. If you do it by hand, it still works. With two screwdrivers, you have to push it one side at a time, and then just goes. Alright, so now let's assemble the other part, which is the first gear, but with the hub first. We shouldn't forget the hub and the two synchro rings. So this is the new one, and it has this material inside, clutch material. I never used these before. They've got them, they're quite pricey. I think they are like 80 US for one. They are already on the hub. We said this hub goes with this channel forward towards second gear, right? So like that. Here the teeth of the synchro need to go inside the hub, like that. Now here we have another washer. We already checked all the end plates, so we know that the thickness is the correct thickness. Now here we have the bushing again. We have a hole here, so this gear goes like that. So the hole is at the bottom, so this bushing we're gonna put like that. And the gear. More lubrication. Then this washer. And this is where we're gonna stop. So we're not gonna put the bearing because the bearing goes on the outside of the housing, right? So here now we're gonna put, just like before, we did it on this side, but now we're gonna do it here as well. We're gonna put a clamp, a hose clamp, to make our life easier. We can put a zip tie or something, but something needs to hold it there as we're putting it in, because there's nothing here. The bearing is what holds it there normally, but we're not putting the bearing yet. This is too small. Maybe I should make a special tool. Since I'm doing so many transmissions, maybe I should make a sleeve. Yeah, you know what I'm gonna do? Here's my special tool. I'm gonna take this bushing that is from the discarded transmission. It's not discarded, but whatever. And I'm gonna put this, like if we reduce the width of this bushing, but I don't want to ruin it. If we reduce the width of this bushing so I can put the circlip here, it would be great, but I don't want to ruin the bushing, so that's why I'm gonna put the circlip only to here. It doesn't work here, so we're gonna put the circlamp. So then we're gonna put the circlamp instead of the circlip. The circlamp fits here, right? Circlamp. Okay, just to hold it in one piece while we are assembling it. Some people run wire. I don't know where they run this wire. I don't. That's how I do it. And now here we can put our other hub, and we said with the higher boss towards the front. Only this synchro ring we're gonna leave out. This we can put later, just before we put the input shaft in. But this synchro ring we need to put on. Just put some glue here. Okay. And now we can put everything inside the housing. I'm gonna turn it around, because that's how we were working so far, right? So this is where this comes handy, because otherwise this gear is like falling off all the time. There you go. Now we can remove this special tool from here. This bushing can go away again. And now the bearing needs to come here. Now the thing is, what I'm doing usually is I'm just tapping the bearing on the shaft, and it works, but I have to keep this hub from falling apart. You know what I'm gonna do this time? I'm gonna press it in. We can put this here, like that, put it on the press, and then press the bearing in. Now that of course is gonna allow this hub and the synchro ring to slide down on the shaft, but that's fine as long as they are there, because if they're not put on the shaft, they're never gonna go on. You see, we can put it up later. For now it's fine to be there. That's from the other transmission. Okay, this one is chipped here, you see, which is not great. Can I just do it with one? No, I need two. Okay, but this one can be flat. Oh, okay. Do you like my stack? Dun dun dun! That's a long stack. Okay. Let's see now. Okay, now we have to adjust the housing so it can start going into the housing as well. So we're gonna loosen that. There you go. Okay, now we have to be careful because it's not gonna go all the way. It's only gonna go until it hits the washer underneath, right? So we're gonna have to check now how far we are. Oh, it needs a lot more. Okay. Wow, it requires more. I can't believe it. Okay. Now, that I didn't want to go all at once because I was afraid that it was gonna, like, I don't want to compress it too much, but now we can put the washer and the circlip here to make sure that that's how far we need to go. Okay. But now you see the washer is spinning freely, which means that the backlash is on this side. So now we want to press on the shaft down. First of all, we're going to remove this from there now. And now we're going to press on the shaft down, first of all to press the bearing all the way in, and second to get rid of this lash here, backlash. So this washer can get compressed, but it's going to release the bushing on the other side, right? There, the bearing is down now, and now the shaft needs to go down a little. The washer is still spinning. I heard it go click, and now it is trapped there. Actually, it cut my finger just now. Okay, now we can slide the hub back, and we won't forget the last synchro ring. It can go easily this way, then the bearing, and the input shaft. What's going on? Why is this driving me crazy? The counter shaft is still down, and there you go. Now let's tap this. Try with my lead hammer. Okay. Until the bearing bottoms up, bottoms out. Okay. And now for the tricky part, to put the counter shaft back up, but we're gonna make the gravity work for us. So instead of up, we're gonna put the counter shaft down like this. There you go. So now the counter shaft is falling into the right place. We can see the thrust washer inside, and we can even see the tooth. With our fingers inside, we can adjust it, and same on this side. So we just need to adjust it in the proper place, and we can push the shaft in. Okay, when we turn a little bit the input shaft and the teeth match, and then everything goes in place. So again, here we have the notch for the locking plate together with the reverse shaft, which disappeared somewhere inside, but that's fine. Okay. Now we're gonna keep spinning it, so okay, so you see how here the thrust washer is almost perfect, so I can just adjust it with my finger. On the other side though, it is not so good, and unfortunately the tooth now is out of the pocket and the washer spun on me. But there are tricks. Now when we spin like that, you see the washer also spins, and we can play back and forth until it comes in the right place. Oh, I think I got it. No, almost, but that's how you do it. You spin the shaft. Now it locked, probably the reverse gear locked, Have to make sure that the reverse doesn't lock, and that's the way. We have to keep spinning and adjusting and spinning and adjusting until the tooth comes to the slot, and then everything comes in place. Now this one, we also screwed this one up. Okay. Okay, I fixed this one at least. So we're gonna put the shaft to start it. There you go. And now I can play with the other one. This shouldn't go that deep. The one for the reverse, make sure that it is not too deep. I think I got it. There you go. Whoa. Okay, we have to push this one back out, but now we should be fine here. Perfect. Let's just lock these so they don't fall out, and then we're gonna test all the gears, first, second, third, fourth, before we continue. And reverse, of course. Even though this screw has nowhere to go, I mean, it can't back up far enough so it can fall off, but still it's a good idea to lock it in place. Now we're not gonna force the shaft in with the plate, because this plate, I've seen it break. Just gonna tap the shaft gently. Okay, and now we can finish this. Okay, let's test it now. So this is neutral. No, this is some gear. This is neutral. Now this slides towards the back is first. Come on. Now we have to be careful because the fork that slide it have limits, so they can't slide it too far. But now that we don't have the forks, we can slide these too far and the bolts can come out, and then we have to go and take apart the whole transmission again. So, okay, that's first now. Okay, back to neutral, and second. That's second gear. Perfect. Back to neutral. Third. No, actually these can't go too far. Well, almost. So we have to be careful with those. Third. And fourth, it's all the way to the front. That, so that's fourth direct, right? And back to neutral, and this is reverse. Perfect. So all gears work nice and smooth. So now we can finish with the assembly. What should we do next? Let's assemble the front end. Now here, remember I told you that these holes are through. They end up inside the housing, so oil can leak through them. That's why we need to have copper washers there. We didn't have them on this transmission, but I saved the ones from the other transmission, and now we're gonna clean them, and I'll show you how we're gonna put them back to use. I have new ones, but they are metric, and the size that is closest to this one is still not perfect. I'd rather use these than like I use them in emergencies when I don't have anything else, but these are much better, so we're gonna reuse them. but I was told that as long as you heat them up, they're good to go again. Okay, we're gonna let them cool down, and in the meantime we're gonna prepare our gasket. So here I used my favorite Permatex Forma gasket, Aviation Forma gasket, on all the surfaces over there, on the metal parts here, on both sides of the gasket, which is already here. And somebody was asking me before, when do I use this brush on gasket maker and when do I use the, what's it called, the super black? Well, the super black I use when I don't have a gasket. If I have gaskets, and if they're paper gaskets, I use this. If I don't have a gasket, on the brake plate of the overdrive, for example, there's no gasket there, or on the flanges on the differentials on the side, there's no gaskets there originally, so that's where I use the super black. But and sometimes when I don't have a gasket for here, it is designed for a gasket, but I don't have it, and I can't make it, for example, for whatever reason, that's when I can just put the super black and use no gasket, and it works well. Anyway, so here it's important, you see this channel here, I guess this is allowing oil to travel to the bearing, to both sides of the bearing, because I'm assuming the centrifugal forces are gonna splash the oil outside, like to the out of the bearing, and then it can go through this channel back into this little hole on the side. So we need to make sure, first of all, that we put the gasket with this little notch towards that side, and also that we put this sleeve in this orientation. We're not changing this seal. Dave said it is new. If you have to change it, it's really hard to take it out. Actually, what I do is I put the part on the lathe and I literally grind it away a little bit at a time. It's possible to take it out, but it is really hard without a lathe. So anyways, the seal is there. We have a little bit of lubrication here, so we can put this part there. That. These are our copper washers. We can put them on the 6 bolts here now. There are 4 bolts that are with a little shoulder underneath and 2 bolts with no shoulder. So obviously the no shoulder bolts are for this cover here, and the ones with the shoulder are for those holes there, because we don't need threads all the way. First we're gonna start them all to make sure that we go through the gasket and everything, and then we're gonna tighten them. The release bearing, make sure that it slides nicely. Now the fork goes with the flat parts towards the clutch, so like this, and then our pin. We need to, okay, we found it quickly. Sometimes it takes time to find the hole. Now here as well, the pin doesn't need to be over tightened, you know, it doesn't hold 2 parts together, it just protrudes inside, right? The end of the pin just protrudes inside, and that's what takes the force, but the threads don't take any force, so we don't need to over torque it. Now we can put some safety wire. I'm gonna try and use these pliers again. I really don't like them, but can't even freaking lock them. Okay. Okay. That requires a lot of force. Wow. Honestly. I need 2 hands for that. Oh my god, why can't I just do this? Like, I'm really not a fan of these pliers. Okay, front end done. Okay, time to assemble the rear end, and finally we're gonna put the top cover. So for the rear end, before I forget, because it's very easy to forget, let's tap the wood roof key in place. And the cam, that's for the pump, for the overdrive oil pump. Doesn't have direction, goes both ways. Shouldn't take too much force to go in, but I remember I had to tap it out, and now looks like I have to tap it in as well. And we have a circlip after that. Oops. I need to make myself stands for TR6 transmissions and for Spitfire transmissions, like, so I can just put it and it can be there, but I keep putting pieces of wood here and there. Don't you love the clicking sound of stuff when it goes click and you're like, okay, it is in. All right, so we're ready for the overdrive, but we're gonna do that in the next episode because we need to service the overdrive a little bit. I mean, it has few leaks from here and there, and then once we assemble it, we want to test the transmission, make sure that everything works okay on the bench, and then we're gonna install everything in the car. So we can't fit all this here, so we're gonna have one more episode of this transmission. So that's gonna be everything for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, commenting, subscribing, sharing and supporting this channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.